All right, good afternoon everyone. Just make sure everyone's ready. Everyone's good? Okay, well of course last week we handed down our budget, and of course the largest health infrastructure spend that we've ever seen, and I'm really pleased to be joined here today with the Health Minister and Peter Russo, the local member, because we know how important this QE2 hospital is to the south side of Brisbane. And we're going to see massive investment here at QE2. We're going to see $465 million spent with 112 more beds. And of course, there's going to be some modular wards we're going to put in place as well, which is one of our accelerated projects, another $25 million, and that'll be 28 additional beds, and that'll be completed by the second half of next year. So we're absolutely committed to delivering the largest health infrastructure spend that this state has ever seen. We've already completed 1,350 beds since we came to office in 2015. We have another 869 currently with the projects that are already being expanded around the state. And then in addition to that is the 2,509. So as you can see, a lot of beds and a lot of expenditure on health. We know how important health is to all Queenslanders, and I'm very, very pleased by this investment. I'll let the Health Minister say a few words, and then Peter, and then we'll move on to other topics. Thanks.
Thanks, Premier. Well, as we know, this is a record budget, but more than that, it's historic. For this hospital here at QE2, we opened 26 new beds last week, and we will have another 28 coming online in the second half of next year, and another 112 by 2027. That's 140 extra beds between now and 2027. This will mean an almost 70% increase in bed capacity at just this one hospital here. But across Metro South, we're looking at an additional 397 beds on top of the 140 here. What we've seen with Metro South's Hospital and Health Service budget this year is an over $3 billion investment for this financial year, almost a 9% increase in their funding, which is fantastic. We know we've got to invest in more health workers, and I was just hearing we've got new doctors coming online, in fact from the UK coming over in August, which is fantastic for QE2 here. And I want to thank all of the doctors, nurses, all of the staff behind the scenes as well here at the hospital, who are doing such a tremendous job each and every day dealing with our demand pressures. We know this funding, we know these beds, and we know the new staff coming online will make all the difference to deal with those pressures going forward. I'll just hand over now to the member for Toohey.
Thank you. This is definitely great news for the electorate of Toohey and also for the neighbouring electorates. This hospital services many of the suburbs outside my electorate. The $465 million commitment to 112 extra beds is also welcome news for a growing area. And also the modular units that will come on at the end of next year. $25 million for 28 modular units is a great achievement, and I look forward to those beds coming online.
Okay, any questions about QE2?
Can you explain why it took more than a year for those 26 beds to come online? They were announced last year in response to unprecedented demand. Why did it take about?
We're going to look at the ward today that's been open, aren't we, Minister?
My question was, why did it take a year though?
Well, these things take planning, and we've got to get it right, and they've been completed, so we'll be looking at it very shortly.
Could have been done sooner.
Well, these things take time.
The opposition says that 1% of the capital spend announced to the budget for health will be spent this financial year, and less than half is committed over the forwards. Where is the bulk of this record spend?
If you go into the capital budgets, there is money allocated. The Health Minister can give you more details about that. But let me say this, when the LNP were in office, they didn't deliver one new hospital. We're building 3 new hospitals, a Queensland Cancer Centre. We've got thousands of beds being built right across this state. We have been delivering, we're delivering, and we're going to deliver even more.
There's no line items for those new hospitals?
Yes, there is. There is in the capital statements.
And they're all costing at the
In the capital statements, yes. I looked at it the other day. The Health Minister and I, during our parliamentary sitting week, were actually going through it in case we got asked a question.
Premier, the 26 beds for today, though,
Yes.
it's taken over a year to roll them out. Are they overdue, though?
We have done detailed planning. Let me make it very clear. All of the announcements we made in this budget have been the subject of detailed planning that Health has done right across the state, looking at the need, the demand, and when the extra beds and the hospitals need to come in line. It's the most comprehensive basic audit that has happened for our hospital systems that we've ever seen.
Those 26 beds fall under phase 1 of the Care for Queensland package. How many total 65 beds have been delivered so far? From
Well,
that?
we'll get that for you. I don't have those details. She'll come back to you about that.
Are you planning to extend the 3 flu jabs beyond the 30th of this month?
Can I just urge everyone, not long to go. Free flu jabs are ending at the end of this month. So everyone's had ample opportunity, ample warning time, and I want to thank everybody for those people who have gone out and had their flu vaccination. Not at this stage, no. Sorry? Oh, I might get the Health Minister to answer that.
Yep, thanks. Thanks, Yvette.
So yeah, it is concerning. We've had a number of days in a row now where we're back over 400 beds for COVID patients. So sadly, we only dipped below 300 for a couple of days there, and now we're going back up again. I'm getting a briefing this afternoon from the Chief Health Officer about, you know, what we're seeing across the country and what we're seeing here in Queensland. But we knew all along that as our baseline now, we're probably looking between 200 to 300 beds when we hit the low mark of our waves, and then escalating after that. So we need to build that into our planning as well. As far as taking 12 months to build a new ward, well, these are brownfield sites. These are currently operating hospitals that you have to decant other services, and you have to try to build these wards around the functioning of a 24/7 hospital. So those things are not done easily. It's far easier to build something brand new on a greenfield site, but when you're talking about works being done in a functioning hospital, they take time to do it properly and to ensure that you're not disrupting other services as well. So we will do this. We are rapidly escalating the construction we're going to be doing over the next few years. We've got that pipeline of 289 that are all going to be online by 2024, and then 2,220 beds after that. So, you know, there's a lot of work to be done here in a short period of time. When it comes to the opposition, can I say, them coming out today saying that the leader of the opposition and the shadow health spokesperson sat down and read the budget papers on the weekend for health. What took them so many days? The budget was handed down on Tuesday. They decided not to read it till the weekend. Well, they're the ones running around the state saying the health system's in crisis, and yet they haven't even bothered to look at the papers till the weekend. They're going to have estimates where I will be able to explain the budget papers to them, because they're misleading the public in the way that they're talking about this budget. It is fully funded. We will build 2,509 beds. We'll do it in the time frame that we said we would. And the opposition leader, in his budget reply, did not mention any new beds, any additional staff, or any funding. So they should stop running around this state making out as if their 4-point plan will deliver anything, because without staff, without beds and without funding, you can't actually deliver.
Premier, Peter Coldrake delivers his final report tomorrow.
Yes.
You've been talking about tightening regulations
Yes.
and restrictions
Yep.
on lobbyists.
Yep.
When will we see that?
Yeah, so I can report that Cabinet did consider some changes today, and we are expecting Peter Coldrake's report this week, but there are some changes that we thought needed to be implemented as quickly as possible. So the first of those is that if you are working for a lobbying firm, and you may be called an advisor, a consultant, a communications specialist, you will now be deemed to be a lobbyist. So we are expanding that definition of lobbying, which I think is very important. So that basically means anyone working for a lobbying firm will need to be registered as a lobbyist. So the only exemption there would of course be if you are working for that firm and you are administration staff. Secondly, and this is very important as well, secondly, lobbyists will only be able to make contact through the Chief of Staff in a Minister's office. So obviously a number of contacts have been made through different levels of a ministerial office. I have escalated that to the Chief of Staff, and the Chief of Staff is the only person who can delegate that to a senior advisor, and there will be no lobbying activity for those under a senior advisor in a ministerial staff. I need it to be at the highest levels of government, and the people who are appropriately trained and have extensive knowledge of their portfolio responsibility. So Cabinet has endorsed that today. Any request for a meeting that is, so say a lobbyist is writing in to request a meeting with the Minister, that must be in writing, not by a phone call. So we want to strengthen that. And also too, just wait, let's go. And thirdly, what we want to see. Thirdly, what we also want to see too is more details in the lobbyists' register about the subject matter, but also too when the ministers have their diaries, what the subject matter that was discussed should also be in those diaries as well. So Cabinet today resolved to implement those. We would anticipate that they would be implemented within the next month, but of course we also want to wait and see what Peter Coldrake has to say in terms of his review. Now I want to say to the people of Queensland, I commissioned that review, and of course we want to see the results of that, and as I have said, I will implement the recommendations of that review as well. So that's due to be handed down this week.
What if we recommend even more on lobbying?
Sure, of course we will. But this is a fundamental first step to recognise that the definition of lobbying needs to be strengthened. So Cabinet absolutely resolved to do that today, and also to lift those points of contact into the office to a much higher level.
Is it an admission that
law change that require a law change?
Sorry?
Does that require a law change?
It'll be in the lobbyist code of conduct, yeah.
Premier
And ministerial code of conduct as well.
the Redlands Mayor, do you believe she should resign?
That's a matter for her. It's a very serious issue. But in this day and age, people do not need to get behind a wheel if they have consumed too much alcohol. People need to be responsible behind the wheel. And in this day and age, there's taxis, there's Ubers, everything like that is available to people.
Is it untenable?
That's entirely a matter for her.
The Buxton Mayor condemned he was charged with.
Well, I'm saying very clearly that in this issue here, in this relation to the mayor, that's a matter for her. But she was a very strong advocate against people drink driving, as you may recall.
Premier, why is it a matter for her though when she wants to leave the community? Surely the community expects
The community will make those judgments. They make those judgments at election time, but I think that's a matter for her now to have to think about what she's been campaigning about and the consequences of that.
In addition to lobbying, were you worried it was becoming a political drag on your government? Is that why you've made these changes?
I have been following these issues very closely. My government has been dealing with the budget, the most massive health spend that we've ever seen. Today we put the budget to rest last week, and today we gave careful and detailed consideration to these issues, and we have acted swiftly.
What are some of the issues that have personally concerned you in respect to lobbying?
Well, as you can see, the reasons I've outlined to making these decisions today.
Do you think the Palaszczuk scenario last week could have been handled better?
That's a matter for the committee.
Do you think those particular Labor applications were they instructed to protect Jackie Trout?
not at all.
Are you disappointed with what they did?
I would like to see committees set down for the rest of the year to give some certainty to everyone who attends them and to the public.
So you're not disappointed that they didn't turn up to the meeting?
Well, sometimes LNP people don't turn up to meetings as well. So how about everyone turns up to meetings and everyone does their job?
Do you think Jackie Try has any continued?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Have you been
That's
given,
ridiculous.
any indication when the Goldrake report will
No,
come out?
sometime this week. Sometime this week.
Sometimes.
So not this afternoon.
I hope not.
Well,
Well, it can.
28th would be tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah. So it'll be tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yep.
And just moments ago,
Yes.
the Doreen Langham inquest findings were handed down.
Yep.
And as a matter of, so they've only just come
Yeah,
down.
I haven't seen them, Marlena. Yeah.
As a matter of urgency, the coroner wants the government to provide funding for specialised domestic violence police stations and a permanent domestic violence officer with the front counties of every Wellington police station. Obviously, it's just been handed
Of
down.
course, we'll look at all of those issues, but we've had the Women's Justice Task Force. Already there's additional money for women's safety. We'll look at those absolutely very carefully. All right?
Casino terms of reference and investigators meant to be announced last week.
Yes.
Does that meant to come out this week?
They will be coming out this week. We're just finalising a few issues there
Did it come out last week?
because we haven't finalised it and now we're finalising it. Okay. Sorry? It'll be released later this week. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay, now we're going to go into...